can't believe that I actually met. Go on. You look like you're going to say something, Dan.
No.
You look like you're going to say something. But the fact of the matter is, in the 7 years I've been doing this, 8 years I've been doing this, I never thought I'd be able to do this, but I am here to introduce this show because, well, when the adults are out, the child has all the fun. I am, of course, the Dean of Credibility, Dean Dixon. You can find me at Folsom County. And, of course, right here on the Craig Lagan Show, there is only one other man in this room because, well, there's a worldwide epidemic. You may have heard of it. It's making a lot of people sick. The death of WCW killed that other guy on this show. So right here with me, solely, Mr. Craig Lagan's the wrestling historian.
Thank you, great one. It is a pleasure to have you on my show. You know, the Craig Lagan Show has been going strong for so long, you know, without any help. And having you on this show, my show, our show, makes it so much better. Thank you so much for joining us. Great one, the great Harry Burnett.
Joining you and Amber.
Yes, me and Amber, as always, in position here. I cannot do a show without her. And doing a show without you has been like being lost in time. You know, I really don't know how I've done the show for so long without you, you know, doing it, you know, by myself, hosting my own show, my own podcast, doing the Wrestling Historian. But it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on my show, Harry. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. It's nice to have a fellow like-minded human being on the show with me.
Hey, Craig.
Yo.
I think he's gonna cry. Should we say that he's here?
Who's here?
Hey, there he is, Dan. It's so good to see you. Look, Craig, Dan's here.
Oh, I didn't even see you, Dan. Hey, Dan Law 83, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm here. That's great. I don't know why I showed up this week. You know, nothing works. I start the show and immediately it's like an English Dean Dixon who can't talk. I can't even say the sentence, so I'm just going to drop that insult and keep it to myself. Never mind.
West Virginian English is just not up to the code of actual English.
West Virginia English. No English at all. Anyway, yes, I'm here.
I've heard you talk, Dan.
Yeah, you've seen me talk too. It's better than me taking a bump. That is not pretty. We don't ever want to see that because apparently I can't tuck my head and I almost die every time. That's the reason I don't do stuff in the ring. Yeah, that's the reason. But yes, it's HIAC Talk Radio. We're on delay since nothing else is working. I forgot to restart my computer. That's probably what'll fix it, but I'm too lazy to do that now. So we're going to do Streamlined this week. So this past weekend, was it this weekend? No, it was Thursday. We had I'm sure this will make everybody happy. Well, except for Harry because he doesn't care. Goldberg. You do care?
I just don't care enough to complain.
Oh,
I care
yes.
enough to where I can sit here and say, it happened, it exists.
Well, I mean,
which is more than can be said for my dear friend Mark Angel and his dream match against Hornswoggle.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, what did Mark Angel do to ever deserve that match?
He tried to run the man over, Dan.
Oh. Well, then just go to jail. He doesn't need to have a match. He just needs to be in jail. Mark Angel is a terrible person, and he needs to go to jail. That's what I'm saying.
But Dan, what of all 1,200 of his children?
They're terrible people, too. They were born to him. And you know what? He likes the Penguins, so he's even worse. He's like he's the Ted Bundy of wrestling. He needs to be stopped. That's how terrible he is.
Well, that's why Hornswoggle will stop him.
Wow.
Yeah, I said it. What's Mark Angel going to do? Nothing? Was he going to say words to me? I'm not afraid of him. I would eat somebody that big for lunch.
He looks like a really, really old 12-year-old.
Right, I didn't go that far. Listen, I called him Ted Bundy of wrestling, but you just went way too far.
There's nothing I wouldn't say to him.
I don't. Well, there's nothing I'd say to him either.
I was in the car with him when he tried to kill Hornswoggle. I wasn't on the outside. I'm smarter than that. I know. Stay away from Mark and his motor vehicles.
He's tried to strangle me before, and I survived it. So,
Oh, what a shame.
I interviewed him once after he won the United States Heavyweight Championship from a wrestling company that shall be named later. But he was very indignant after his win in a triple threat match where he didn't even pin the champion. But that's Mark Angel for you.
Sounds like Mark Angel accomplishments. That sounds about right. What you gonna do, Mark? Nothing. Nothing. You're not gonna do a damn thing.
I feel like it was 2 weeks ago I was calling people out, and now it's Dan poking the bear and us trying to get Dan beaten up.
I just like picking on Mark Angel and him not doing a damn thing about it. It's very funny. Although I'm more terrified of his kid than I am of Mark Angel. Is that kayfabe?
Nah.
I'm not sure if that's kayfabe anymore.
Well, I mean, most people know they're related. They
No, I know that. No, I know that. That, and he just looks just like the damn guy. But what I'm saying is, my God, I'm the fattest guy here, and I don't drink that much soda. For Christ's sake,
I can handle it, Dan.
I can handle it too, right into my ass.
This is why I have to tell people on a weekly, nay, a daily basis that I am just more than everyone else. I'm not going to catch your little flus. I'm not going to get sick from excessive consumption of food and drink.
He's going to get it. He'll be next.
I am unstoppable. You don't understand that.
It's part of the greatness.
Some guy's going to walk up to his face and sneeze in his mouth. And 20. But see, here's the thing about Harry. He does not have a compromised immune system, and he is great. So after the 21 days, he'll be fine.
Have you seen that episode of South Park where Cartman gets Kyle sent to like his whole family sent away, and he has to go to like a fucking rehoming place, and then someone does that to Cartman as well. I have a feeling that that's what quarantine is like. So like I could quite easily make a phone call that gets you quarantined, Dan.
Yeah.
As much as you sniffle or sneeze once, I'm gonna make a call and I'm gonna have you sent straight to a quarantine center.
Not how quarantine works, but sure, whatever you say.
Dan, if it's on TV, it's definitely real.
If it's on TV, it's real. That's a good point. I forgot.
TV has taught us anything. Well, other than the what happened on Thursday, there was didn't AEW have a pay-per-view extravaganza since the last spoke?
Well, I was going to get to that. I was going to go in order. But
I apologize.
Cut me off.
Trust Craig to format the show correctly, Dan. Unlike you, just jumping all over the place.
There's no goddamn format. Obviously, there's no
Craig's
format.
a professional, and you're just this clown sitting there going, I like WCW. It was all my life, and I love hockey, and I'm Dan.
First of all, Harry, that impression was spot on. Okay. Second of all,
it doesn't sound fat enough.
Did you want to go in order? You want to talk about Super Showdown and then AEW?
I was gonna just first of all, there's no format. I was gonna bring up the Goldberg thing and see how y'all.
Of course you would. He's from WCW. You love WCW.
You want to bring up go ahead.
I was gonna say 2001. I was 15. Yeah, WCW has been dead longer than it was alive in my lifetime. So there is that.
Wow. So you're okay with a 53-year-old man going over the hottest heel?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
No, I don't care. I don't care in this way. It's going to lead to these two matches that were made on SmackDown, which I definitely want to see. I absolutely want to see Goldberg and Roman Reigns. The Roman Reigns Goldberg thing out of spite because people still hate Roman Reigns for some reason, and I just want to see him beat Goldberg with a spear and have him be the guy that beat Goldberg with a spear. Number one. And number two, I absolutely want to see The Fiend versus John Cena. And if The Fiend still had the belt, people would be bitching that John Cena's going to win another world championship. And they can't do that. So there's less people bitching about Goldberg than there is about John Cena. That's probably not why they did it. But I could see either way. They were damned if they did and damned if they didn't on these two matches at WrestleMania. I absolutely, as a wrestling fan and as a WCW nerd, Harry, want to see that.
No. You're not a WCW nerd. You're a WCW neck-bearded mark.
Neck-beard mark. Yes. Pardon me. So says Val Venus. Trust me, it was Val Venus. He's just mad that I don't spank it to the videos he used to do on Raw, I think. I don't know. Anyway, those matches are going to be great. So in that case, this argument that the Fiend needs a belt and that they've buried him, and the term buried is just has been buried. Nobody knows what that means. It's like socialist. When people are mad at another candidate that's not Donald Trump, they go, "You're a socialist." You don't know what that word means. You have no idea what that word means. Nobody knows what buried means, really.
Wait, I'm having a Scrubs moment. I'm having a Scrubs moment where Dan's just sitting there with his little dictionary going,
Make sure. Wait a minute. He said socialist. No, I don't think he's buried. He doesn't need the belt. People said before he won the belt, people said he didn't need the belt. Then he had the belt. People were like, yes, he's the champion, which I was happy he won the title. I was very happy, and I was very content that he would hold on to that title. But now that he doesn't have the belt anymore, people are like, he needs the belt. Well, you make up your goddamn mind. What it makes you happy. Go ahead.
I guess what the issue is, whenever Bray Wyatt has held the championship, it's always been, for some, including me, way overdue. Like, you should have had it a long time ago before that. And when he's lost it, it's been to people that most fans, including me, feel is to an undeserving person. The first time he lost it was to Randy Orton. Why? That was during when Randy Orton was part of the Wyatt family. Again, why? And now this time it's for Goldberg. This why is a little easier to comprehend because it's Super Showdown is all about WrestleMania, building up for WrestleMania. And whether you think it's intellectually or you're faced with a spoon, you have to know that whatever happens in Super Showdown, just like the Elimination Chamber this weekend, it's all about WrestleMania. And that's what some fans, including me, had to realize, because I thought the Goldberg win over the Fiend was absolutely useless. I didn't understand the point of the match in the first place, but now I know that it's the long game. It's not the immediate game. So, and the Fiend does not need a belt, finally. I always thought Bray Wyatt did need one because his potential was always unrealized.
Yes. I agree. The Fiend is...
as the man in the middle, see, I saw very much a reason for everything that could be done and everything that is to be complained about. See, I get it. Oh, you don't want a man in his 50s as world champion. But then again, you look at the quote-unquote hottest thing in wrestling today, and who is the world champion since they first had a world champion, Chris Jericho. But hey, it's a big-time match. Goldberg against Roman Reigns. And then on the other hand, hey, wouldn't it have been cool to have seen Cena against Goldberg? Wouldn't it have been cool to have seen, build Reigns up to finally take the title from the Fiend after all that time? Whereas, Goldberg's just going to be there for, a month, 2 months, and then it's titles off them. But I can see both sides of the argument. But then again, I'm the one who will be on a plane coming back home from America, where it'll be an overnight flight, and I don't think I'll want to stream WrestleMania, even if it is good Wi-Fi on the plane, because, well, I have to go to work that day when I get back, and, on no sleep, they'll be like, well, sleep or WrestleMania? Sleep or WrestleMania?
WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, like Dan with his Starcade tapes, I'll just stand there for a minute, think about it, and then I'll say no, and then I'll go to sleep. Well, that will come after my ice cream, though, because I'm hoping this airline has ice cream. But, yeah, it'll be a hard choice of 3 seconds or less.
I wanted to bring up a counterpoint to what Craig said, and that was why every time he touches the belt does he then lose it? And it's as I was thinking of this, I was like, God damn it, Harry's here. He's going to hear this. There is a guy called Sting in WCW who, for better or for worse, was a glorified transitional champion. Every time he got the belt, he'd hold it for a little while and drop to somebody else. And we could argue most of those times, other than to Rick and champion here and there, why? Why would he do that? It did not hurt the man. I will agree with this. Bray Wyatt, the original Bray Wyatt, that would hurt him. The Fiend can work anybody, male or female, with that character, and it would mean something just because of the character. And the Chris Jericho comparison is something I made on Twitter days before he lost it. Was like, why is it? I don't know why it's okay for one and not the other to have an older guy do it. Craig, I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. You're not one of those irrational people that are like, this is stupid.
No, that's you, Dan.
That's me. Yes, I'm the irrational one. Yeah, clearly. But I just did the same thing with Cena and the Ric Flair thing. And Ric Flair, yes, I compare John Cena to Ric Flair. Why one shoved down your throat is okay and not the other. It's just pick and choose. It's the agenda thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That being said, John Cena is back, and the match for WrestleMania is against The Fiend. And The Fiend is going to mess with John Cena forever. How long that's going to be. That's going to be spectacular. I am really excited for WrestleMania. And I never hated John Cena. I've never been enamored and like over the moon. Like, I am a John Cena fan. I'm really excited for that. More so because The Fiend. What were you going to say, Craig? I mean, Harry, I did it again. Go ahead, Craig, you first.
No, this is the one of the only matches that intrigues me about WrestleMania is John Cena and The Fiend. Just if anything, just for the promos leading up to it from both men. And if they're smart, they won't touch until WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. Bald Laffy Boy, what were you laughing at down there?
You were saying you're not overly into John Cena, but I mean, your closet around there probably says otherwise.
My what?
Your closet around there probably says otherwise with those 60 different John Cena shirts they released, all a different color.
This is gritty.
Yeah. That's why I said in your closet around there. You know,
I don't have a closet. I don't have shirts in my closet. I fold them and put them in drawers, Harry.
Okay, well, in your drawers then. We're just splitting hairs here, Dan.
No.
Yeah, they're there, Harry. You can't see them. See, that's
Exactly. You really don't need to split hairs. It's furniture, Dan. I mean, what you have in your trailer is on you, all right?
I own a condo, you son of a bitch. I don't have a trailer.
Well, whatever you call...
It has wheels, but...
Whatever you call your high-priced, fancy home on wheels is down to you, right? It's fine. Some people call apartments flats. Others call them a home.
Do you guys just live in, like, flat houses? Like, do you have to walk around sideways? Why are they called flats?
I live on the third floor, Dan.
You live on the third floor of the flat. Got it.
the third flat.
The third flat.
So,
Flat.
are we?
Please take the show back.
Yeah, is there anything?
Professional.
Is there anything else in Super Showdown, or you want to move to AEW?
Chris Jericho was defeated by Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is the World Heavyweight Champion, and apparently, he's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I don't want to alienate.
Oh, Dan, be nice to your fellow neck-bearded marks.
I don't even have a beard, for Christ's sake.
We can change that with the power of
the paint pen.
Jesus Christ. You two being on the same page is unnerving. Go ahead, Craig.
The only thing I want to say about the match between Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho, which is a darn good match, the beginning of it was highlighted by my friend, my dear, close, personal friend, the lead singer of that epic choir that sang Chris Jericho's theme song, Judas, Meredith Bell. She's a black listener, Dan. I've known her for 12 years.
What?
And that's what I said.
How have they not mentioned this yet?
I've known Meredith since the first Blacklisted party in 2009, and we've been friends. And I met her when we went and saw Royal Rumble. I met her outside. You were out there with me, and we were coming out to hey, I said, hey, it's Meredith.
Yeah. So she's on an AEW pay-per-view. She's front and center, and Preston Steve haven't mentioned her once.
Nope.
Did anybody write an email?
No, I guess that would have been my job. I was still just coming down from the fact that I'm looking at social media and it's like Chris Jericho's entrance. It was trending worldwide. Chris Jericho
Yeah.
and Judas, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's
you
Meredith. She's
can
not
you
in the background. She's lead singing,
front row center?
front
Do me
row.
a favor,
Yes,
please tweet something with a screenshot so I can retweet it. Tag Preston and Steve. Tag HIAC. That is something that they need to mention. That's amazing.
yes, the
We should not
Meredith.
be shy about that. That's pretty cool.
That is
And that entrance
incredible.
was friggin' amazing.
That was up
I've
against
been
any
watching.
WrestleMania entrance that they've
I
done.
agree. I agree. I agree. And I was about to say this. The show was fun. It was better. I did see a lot of people saying it was not as good as Full Gear. I enjoyed that show a hell of a lot more than Full Gear. I really did. And that match was fine. I will say, okay. So the tag team match. Oh my God, why am I blanking on Kenny Omega's partner?
Adam Page, Hangman, Adam
Jesus
Page.
Christ. Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. That was a fantastic match. Now, Dave Meltzer blowing it like he overblows everything else. God, NHL referees, I tell you. Said it's the
You
greatest
tell me
tag.
what.
Nothing. No,
Okay.
don't worry about it. Saying it was the greatest tag team match ever. Calm down. That was a fun match, and I saw people who didn't like it just because of who was in it instead of liking it because it was a great tag team match. I thought it was fantastic. It's a fun show, and if you can see that match again, please do. Yes.
I just want to take this moment out to not only point out that this show today is sponsored by TGHB 3D, get all your 3D printing from yours truly, but I also wanted to point out, secondly, that I've still only watched one episode of AEW. I've not watched any of the pay-per-views. I've only watched one episode, and that will continue until such a time as I don't know if they do the broken stuff with Matt Hardy, then maybe I will. But no, until then, until something stands out that interests me a mile off.
Sure.
No.
Understood.
I mean,
I
sat here me saying I'm barely interested in WrestleMania, so.
He's barely interested in the show, and he still shows up.
I come here just to annoy you, Dan, and to hang out with my dear friend Craig Legans.
Trust me, you coming back
on the Craig Legans show.
You coming
right
back
here on HIAC Talk Radio.
You coming back on? I'll just mute him. I can just hit mute,
and I can just sit here and.
I'm gonna mute him. Everything. No, just kidding. Him coming back on the show did wonders for my ego more than you know, and I can't say why on the show. With that being said, it is time for Craig to take over the show completely, even from you, Mr. Barnett, just for a moment, if you don't mind. I know you like Craig, so I know it won't be a problem. And it is time to go back in time, and we're in black and white. We're back in time. It's time for the wrestling historian.
Thank you, Daniel. On this particular portion of the Craig Legans show, I'm going to ask all of you wrestling fans to go back in time to back when it was actually called professional wrestling, back when territories ruled the world, back when wrestlers from different promotions could perform on another person's promotion without any fear of reprisals, back when titles were called belts, back when if you were bleeding, you were taken to a hospital, not a medical facility. And if you wanted a title shot, it was indeed a shot, not an opportunity. This, my friends, is called The Wrestling Historian. We're going to go back to February 28th and wish a happy belated 67th birthday to a man whom I consider the real Mr. Perfect in professional wrestling. No disrespect to the great Kurt Hennig, but this man has been a babyface his entire career, and everyone from Stone Cold Steve Austin to Ric Flair to Randy Savage to Barry Windham to Rick Rude called this man the best wrestler they've ever been in the ring with. He was a babyface for his entire career, something that's very rare. Men loved him, women loved him, kids loved him, and all that wrapped up in a body that was drawn by Marvel Comics. happy belated 67th birthday to Ricky Steamboat.
Ugh. I mean, you say the real Mr. Perfect, man. Not that I'm arguing with you. It's like, yeah, there's two of them. There's Kurt and there's Ricky. But I would say Ricky has the edge because Ricky was flawless. He was flawless every time.
Every match he ever had and every move he did in the ring and any person he ever worked with, whether it be George South or Randy Savage, he could sell, he could work. I'm not even going to mention the 60-minute draws with Ric Flair that he did with well over 1,000 times. But what made those matches great is what made him great is you can have it. I looked at the Iron Man match on AEW between Pac and Omega that everyone was still crying over. Flair and I'm not comparing them to Flair and Steamboat, but Flair and Steamboat could have a 60-minute match over and over again and have the fans that they're on their feet at the end of it after 60 minutes without one chair, without them ever leaving the ring, without no ring post spots, without any state in the ring the entire time. And that's the artistry of a Ricky Steamboat. I can't count how many professional wrestlers count the Randy Savage Ricky Steamboat match as the reason why they wanted to be a professional wrestler, or still their favorite match of all time. The match is going on 33 years old now, but still, it still holds up. Steve Austin said he learned more from Ricky Steamboat match than any match he ever had. He called Ricky Steamboat still his favorite wrestler to be in the ring with. Again, the guy was Chris Jericho. Speaking of him right now, that reason why he wanted to be an Intercontinental Champion. He never wanted to be. He wanted to be a world champion, but he wanted the Intercontinental belt because Ricky Steamboat had it. And the iconic picture now of Chris Jericho, a 15-year-old Chris Jericho in line getting his autograph by Ricky Steamboat and waiting 3 hours in line because that's who he was. Bret Hart even said, "You want to learn how to wrestle? Watch Ricky Steamboat wrestle." Case closed. Happy 67th birthday. We had a leap year while we were off. February 29th, some things happened in the world of professional wrestling. Not a lot, but some landmark things. February 29th, 1980 in Memphis, Tennessee. This was Jerry Lawler's comeback match. Jerry Lawler was the biggest star in Memphis, of all time. But, during the summer, he liked to play softball. Well, it was softball. I heard it was a football injury, but Jerry Lawler broke his leg. And when you're the number one guy in the territory and you break your leg and you legitimately can't wrestle for a year, it hurt business. It hurt Jerry Lawler's pocketbook. It hurt the whole wrestling. It hurt the southern states because your number one guy is out. It's like when Sting went out. In WCW. It's like if Hogan went out at the height of Hulkamania for a year. It was huge. And but they kept, Jerry Lawler did interviews, and during one of the interviews, Jimmy Hart, who was Jerry Lawler's manager at the time, made the remark, "What do you do if your prize horse can't run anymore? You take it out back and shoot it." Now, it's still arguable whether Jerry Jarrett told Jimmy Hart to say that just to get heat, or if Jimmy Hart just ad-libbed that line himself. Either way, Jerry Lawler was said to be very upset by that remark. So when he came back after a year, and he had sent in some interviews, some clips, his first match back against the Dream Machine, a man, Troy Graham, that Jimmy Hart brought in to take care of Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler came into the Mid-South Coliseum February 29th, 1980 on a white horse to the tune of Redemption, the theme from Rocky II, which is my favorite Rocky theme. Place was sold out. Came in on a horse with a condition that if Jerry Lawler could beat the Dream Machine, he would get 5 minutes. He would get a match with Jimmy Hart. Well, he defeated the Dream Machine, and he got a match with Jimmy Hart, and it was in that match where Jerry Lawler broke Jimmy Hart's jaw.
Was it on purpose or was it an accident? It was on purpose.
He was talking about Paul Heyman.
That's right.
Hey, Paul Heyman, he did on purpose. Jimmy Hart, Jerry Lawler still maintains it was an accident.
I don't believe that at all.
But for the people that still maintain that Jerry Lawler was upset by what Jimmy Hart said about taking him out back and shoot him, that was Jimmy Hart's receipt.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, February 29th, 1980, Jimmy Hart got his jaw broken by Jerry Lawler.
I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. Nope.
Yeah, they're still friends. They're still cool. I mean, they each owe each other their own career because Jimmy Hart, if not for Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler became Jerry Lawler because of Jimmy Hart. Jerry Lawler still would have been the best, and I mean, obviously Hart helped, but Jimmy Hart's mouth, his managerial presence, and his he was like the modern day. He was Paul Heyman before he was Paul Heyman. Jimmy Hart was. Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, all owe quite a debt to Jimmy Hart. But February 29th, 1980, yeah, got socked. That same date, February 29th, 1992, Dan, was the second annual WCW Super Brawl. And this was a stacked card from top to bottom. It was the opening bout was the Brian Pillman Jushin Thunder Liger match that Pillman won, regained the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship, but it was a classic. It's still considered a classic.
Sure.
Brian Pillman and Jushin Liger, but that was the opening bout. That same card, WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons beat other WWE Hall of Famer Cactus Jack with a power slam. Check out this tag team match. Van Hammer and Tom Zank defeated. It gets better, Dan. Van Hammer and Tom Zank defeated the team of Ricky Morton and Vinny Vegas. The Mutt and Jeff team of Ricky Morton and Kevin Nash.
Was it Ricky or was it Richard at that
Richard.
point?
I apologize. It was Richard Morton.
No, I didn't. I'm not correcting you. I'm saying if it's Richard Morton, then it makes sense why he's with Vinny Vegas.
Yes, it was Richard Morton and Vinny Vegas. Or now we know him as Ricky Morton and Kevin Nash. We're tag team partners. Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton retained the WCW tag team title over the Steiners.
20 minutes. I need to go watch that.
Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham defeated the team of Larry Zbyszko and Stunning Steve Austin. A great match. Rick Rude defeated the aforementioned Ricky Steamboat to retain the United States Heavyweight Championship due to outside interference by Paul Heyman, who came in dressed as a ninja and hit Ricky Steamboat over the head with a phone.
A fat ninja.
A fat ninja. A round ninja.
Or not as fat as he is now, ninja.
Yes, a pre-Alfred Hitchcock ninja. And the main event, the aforementioned Sting defeated Lex Luger to regain the WCW Heavyweight Championship.
Of course I remember that. Harry would be delighted to know I remember that one.
Yeah. On that same date, 500 miles to the north in Madison Square Garden, the main event on this leap year, 1992. Check out the tag team main event of this. Hulk Hogan teamed up with the Intercontinental Champion, Roddy Piper, to go up to defeat the team of Sid Vicious and the WWF Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair.
Death to WWF! Oh, sorry. I flashback. Sorry.
Yeah.
Whew. Man, Ric Flair. It's still when somebody says Ric Flair WWF, I still go, what? What year? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper tag team.
Wow.
Piper was the Intercontinental Champion, and Ric Flair was the World Heavyweight Champion.
House show, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I guess footage doesn't exist of that.
they've teamed up. I mean, that match exists elsewhere. I think they did it in the Boston Garden as well. Hogan Piper versus Sid and Flair.
Every now and then, going back and watching those old house shows from the Garden and the MSG and the Spectrum are fun to watch. Just to get the atmosphere. None of the glitz, glamour, and BS. It's just guy comes out, match.
Yeah.
Gold.
Oh, and I forgot to mention one more WCW note on that same February 29th, 1992, and that Super Brawl 2 card that I just rattled off. It was also the announcing debut of one Jesse the Body Ventura.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Going over to March 1st, 1976. We just talked about him. But in 1976, on March 1st, in Madison Square Garden, where I also just mentioned, it was the Madison Square Garden debut of Ric Flair.
Another one?
Yeah. Hey, Cal.
Yes, another one. We're live.
Hey, Cal. Yeah, there was another one.
Yeah, another. Hey, how about you not curse so I don't have to edit that in the background? Jesus. Hey, everybody. Kelly's here. Go ahead, you Craig.
Kelly.
Sorry.
Sorry. Ric Flair defeated Pete Sanchez in his Madison Square Garden debut, March 1st, 1976. Staying on that date, March 1st, 1986, 10 years later, the first ever it premiered on MTV of all places, was the first ever Slammy Awards.
There you go.
Yes. Gave us such it was all to promote the Pile Driver, the wrestling album.
Ugh.
Yeah, yes. Even though You Only Knew, I love that song. Started by Ted DiBiase, and all the rest of them were trash. But I love that song, and also we got to see the debut of the Honky Tonk Man with Jesse Lee Ventura on piano.
Jesse Lee.
But that same day, while that happened on MTV over at NBC, it was the Saturday night's main event. I talked about in a previous wrestling story, and it was taped weeks earlier. Mr. T versus Bob Orton in the boxing match, where Roddy Piper legitimately threw a stool at Mr. T, and Hulk Hogan went up against Magnificent Morocco, and he was sneak attacked by King Kong Bundy. All this was to set up WrestleMania 2, but it aired March 1st, 1986.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. I thought you were done the sentence. I apologize. Mr. T was no slouch, but if he got in a fight with Piper, who wins that fight? Like a shoot fight. If Piper did what he said and he was that angry at the man, who wins that fight?
I give it to Piper only because he weighed more, and
really,
yeah.
Wow.
As long as that fight's not on a plane, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Yeah, you would give the edge to Mr. T? Dan?
Just because he's. I just thought he was stronger in those days.
Yeah.
But Piper's got that real fighting crap. Like
yeah, and the only reason I would give it to Piper only because Mr. T at that point I would have been stronger, and I go back to what Mike Tyson. Mr. T at that point in his career hadn't been in a real fight in like decades. You know, Piper had some real, and he had been in several shoots up until that point. That's only, and I use Mike Tyson as an example because when he ran into Mitch Green when he was heavyweight champion, and he got into a fight in Harlem at 2 a.m. And he ended up busting Mitch Green's eye, and they had boxed before, but this was a real fight. He said in no uncertain terms, I was scared because I hadn't been in a real fight since I was 15. I've had nothing but boxing matches then. I hadn't been in an actual fight. And you know who else said the same thing? Of all people?
No.
Big Show. When he got arrested, when he hit that guy in the hotel room, Now the guy was 6'6", and obviously his show was bigger than him. But at the same time, he said, "I was scared." No one, he had never been in a fight. I mean, Big Show's always been the biggest and the strongest. Who the hell would he get into a fight with? So, and that's why the only reason I would pick Piper over T, because at that point Piper had more real fight experience than
All right.
T.
Okay, cool.
And that, by the way, that Saturday night's main event, Dan, that aired March 1st, 1986, did a 10 share. Get a 10 rating. 10.0.
Jeez, was that the credit song Phil Collins's
Take Me Home.
Take Me Home?
Yeah, the opening was still an Emotions Obsession.
Yeah. So I just want to state, because there was an announcement today about a Phil Collins related thing that made me very happy.
It made the entire world very happy, Dan. I thought of you instantly.
Did they mention it on Press and Steve today? Because I haven't gotten that far in the podcast yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll probably mention it again tomorrow.
Yeah, because I've been actually so I shouldn't mention this. I don't mean to mention it like that. Steve and I have been talking on text on Twitter about different things. He liked a tweet I said about Bloomberg.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, he liked that. He specifically was like, "I agree with you." I was like, "Yeah, I'm so tired of hearing his voice. Shut up." But I've been, because I know he's a huge Genesis fan, and I was privileged to some information well ahead of time. So I was like, "Steve, don't worry, it's gonna happen. Calm down. It's gonna be fine." Anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm excited. I don't know if you can tell.
And well,
So
you should be. Thank you. Even Harry agrees with me.
Yes.
Staying
No,
on
I'm
March.
saying he should be sorry.
Gotcha. Staying on March 1st, 1998. Dan, at the ECW Living Dangerously pay-per-view in Asbury Park, was the memorable match between Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh boy.
This was the bout where Taz had the Taz mission on Bam Bam. Bam Bam fell backwards, and through the ring they went.
And it was used on video promotions for about 10 years. I mean, oh man. Oh man.
Well, that match took place March 1st, 1998. March 2nd, 1993 was a big day in WCW history, Dan, because in one of the clearest signs of tried and true nepotism, Paul Orndorff won the WCW Television Championship in the finals of a tournament. The WCW TV title was held by Scott Steiner, but he and his brother had just left to go to the WWF. So they had a 10-person tournament, and Paul Orndorff won the 10-person tournament to win the WCW Heavyweight Champion, WCW Television title, defeating Eric Watts in the final.
Yeah, oh man, Eric Watts. Man, everybody talks about all these wrestlers being shoved down your throat, but you didn't have to live through 10 or more years of goddamn Eric Watts. Shut up.
No. Other wrestlers in the tournament that didn't get out of the first round, Rob Sikowski, Robbie Z, who we now know as the aforementioned Rob Van Dam, and Chris Benoit.
But thank God we got Eric friggin' Watts.
Yes. Yeah, because neither one of those guys would have made a good WCW TV champion. Most definitely had to be Paul Orndorff 10 years after his biggest run of his career. But on that same card that Paul Orndorff became the WCW TV champion, the WCW Tag Team title changed hands as the aforementioned Stunning Steve Austin and his partner Flying Brian Pillman defeated Shane Douglas and the belated birthday boy Ricky Steamboat for the WCW Tag Team title.
Wow.
The Hollywood Blondes, one of the great teams in WCW history. Steve Austin and Brian Pillman really hit their stride. They were the two best, some would say the two best wrestlers in WCW at the time. and they won their and they were the WCW Tag Team Champions. They won their belt March 2nd for their first and only reign as
Oh,
champions. Pillman would hurt his ankle, and they would have to forfeit, and it would be Stunning Steve Austin and Steve Regal who would lose the tag team titles. So Flying Brian and Stunning Steve never lost their tag team belts. Were synonymous with the tag team championship, made the Hollywood Blondes a thing, but it was their only reign as champion.
it's the first time I can recall. Nice caption, Harry. It's the first time I can recall. Thanks. I do that for the video, and you just screwed it up. I appreciate that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, to jog my own memory for me, that after he left WCW, I'm talking about Steve Austin, when he went to ECW and was mentioning these things that happened, I don't remember a time before that where it was used as a promo to get over, I mean that in a positive way, on TV in another company like that. Like, when Ric Flair went to WWF, he brought the title with him, and Bobby Heenan was like the real heavyweight champion then. But that's why people, just a quick aside, people get mad about the Medusa ladies champion in the trash can. I'm like, Vince did it first.
Yep.
He didn't throw it in the trash can, but he did it first. And the same thing with Steve, that the moment he opened his mouth on ECW, and this was when I was 11 when he went to ECW, that I still didn't grasp what he was saying. I understood what he said, but I didn't grasp the things he was saying. The Monday Night Quill segment with the balloons. I don't recall it ever happening before that since I've been watching TV, but my God, one of the dumb, and this is not a Harry Barnett, this is what WCW, this is why WCW died, Dan comment. I don't mean it like that. How you could watch Steve Austin, just in the general scheme of things, his performance, and go, fire him. I don't get it. I'm not talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just the man is at a performance level. Why he was let go. Still, I kind of that decision. And I know Eric kind of regrets it, hindsight 2020 and all that crap. But it just baffles me watching those tag team matches.
It does, but you also have to understand. I'm sorry, Harry. Did you want to jump in?
No, I was just going to make fun of Dan and say I notice how anxious he gets whenever he says the words "the death of WCW." But yeah, go on.
I was going to say what hastened his departure from WCW, along with a lot of other people, is it was the Hulk Hogan effect, because once the tag team of him and Brian broke up, Steve finally got his singles push. He became United States champion. He had those epic matches against Ricky Steamboat, and then he loses the belt to Hacksaw Duggan in 18 seconds because he's Hogan's friend. And then Savage comes in and a month later, he pins Stunning Steve Austin on a Saturday morning TV match because he's Hogan's friend. And then it's the Hogan show. And here comes Brutus Beefcake. And here comes Hacksaw Duggan. And here comes Honky Tonk Man. So your Brian Pillmans, your Steve Austins, your Ricky Steamboat, your Rick Rudes are obsolete now because we have to make room for WWE Light. That's what happened to Steve Austin, the Hulk Hogan effect. But you can also point to the short-sighted Eric Bischoff, because he also had Cactus Jack. He had Chris Jericho in his employ and didn't do anything with him. So WCW is historic for the short-sightedness that they had of the talent that they had and didn't use. Steve Austin just as easily could have been taken Flair's spot as the number one heel, the number one guy in the country, in the company. But yeah, and even if Pillman hadn't gotten hurt, who knows how far the Hollywood Blondes would have gone. But March 2nd, 1993, Paul Orndorff became the WCW TV champion, and the Hollywood Blondes won their first, last, and only WCW Tag Team title. Which brings us to today, folks. It was 20 years ago today.
Sergeant Pepper taught the band to play?
Yeah, but
Oh.
something else happened, Dan, right here in Philadelphia. I mentioned Rob Zukowski. He was in the tournament for the WCW TV title in 1993. Cut to 7 years later, and that same Rob Zukowski, Robbie Z, Rob Van Dam, had to forfeit his ECW television championship that he held for 23 months, the longest reigning champion in ECW history of any title. He broke it in a match against Rhino doing a baseball slide, so he had to give up that title. And on that same card, for the ECW Tag Team Championship, the champions, Tommy Dreamer and Masato Tanaka, lost the ECW Tag Team title to the team of Raven and the ECW Heavyweight Champion, then ECW Heavyweight Champion, Mike Awesome. So on this date, 20 years ago today, Mike Awesome was the ECW Heavyweight and ECW Tag Team Champions. And Harry, you made a point of it earlier on Twitter about Mike Awesome being an underrated superstar, didn't get the credit he deserved. 20 years ago today, he did.
I definitely made that post today, and I completely agree with it.
Yep. And that, my friends and ladies, is called The Wrestling Historian.
Glad I edited out the countdown when I do it, because I can't make a normal number 3 because my hands are broken.
Oh, really?
I can't. That's it. That's me trying to do a number 3.
You look like you're trying to find a way to put your fingers in a plug socket, but they're too big.
Yeah. That's my number 3. I look like do a number 3, Harry. Right, you can do that. Craig, do number 3. Hold up your number 3s. Yeah, that's what I have to do. I do it like that. I can't. My tendons are so effed up. That's why I've had hand surgery. My hands are just effed.
Just do that.
I just do this.
Yeah.
It's hard though when you go 5, 4, 3. Yeah, then I can't do 2 and 1. So,
Well, you can, yeah. 2, 1.
no, it looks like that because my tendons.
Would you like me to 3D print you some new hands?
Yes. Please.
Okay.
Please, while you're at it. Any 3D? Never mind. Any.
Dan, I can't extend anything else for you.
Okay, I just just want to put it out there. I'm going for a foot here. So, as you wanted to state before I rudely interrupted you into the Wrestling Historian segment, you wanted to say something, Craig, about MJF this past weekend.
MJF, still the best heel in either company. Got the biggest win of his career at the AEW pay-per-view over Cody Rhodes. This has been, they played the long game with this feud since, the beginning of AEW. MJF always proclaiming that Cody was his best friend, my best friend Cody this, Cody. And the match was so good because you finally got a chance to see what what MJF can do. Both in the ring and out of the ring, his work, his facials, his expression. The first time I got to see him bleed, the fake face turn. He went in for a hug with Cody, and everybody thought please forgive me, and classic Eddie Gilbert type heel, and he wins illegally with the ring. This man is, and I continue to say, and I will say it until he realizes his potential. This is the closest thing to a Roddy Piper as you're ever going to see in professional wrestling. Roddy Pipers don't come along They're once in a generation. To even mention anyone else in the same breath as Roddy Piper, I've always considered blasphemy. But Maxwell Jacob Freeman is close to a Roddy Piper as you're going to get in professional wrestling. And seeing him win his match against Cody was a great feather in his cap. When he realizes his potential, and like Piper, he doesn't need to be AEW champion. You know, everyone, when people make up the list of greatest wrestlers to never be champion, Piper is always on there. Not that he's a great wrestler, but him as champion would have just doubled your money. I've always said if the WWF was the WWE, Piper would have had the belt going into WrestleMania and having Hogan go over in that. Forget Madison Square Garden. You could have sold out Yankee Stadium in 1985 if Piper had the belt. But you're also thinking about two huge egos. Neither one of them wanted to do the job for the other. They both claimed they were responsible for WrestleMania. They both have a legitimate stake in that, and legitimate, Hogan said if it wasn't for my popularity, there wouldn't have been a WrestleMania, and Piper claimed if you wouldn't be you if I wasn't so bad. If they didn't hate me so much, they wouldn't love you. And you can't have a hero without a villain. And I'm the reason for WrestleMania. So that's why neither one of them ever wanted to do a job for the other, and neither one of them ever did. But it is to say that MJF does not need to be champion for him to be another Roddy Piper. His work speaks for itself, and I just wanted, because I have I share a wrestling podcast with like-minded wrestling fans. I wanted to say how proud I am of MJF and what he's done.
To go off of what you just said there, Craig Legans of the Craig Legan Show, where do you see him going after Cody?
That's a great question. Great one. I could see him, if they want to continue with the Rhodes family, they could. I could, unless they're going to turn Adam Page heel, I could see him going against Omega. I think it's too soon to give him a title run. But yeah, he definitely needs. He just, honestly, Harry, he just needs to be on TV every week. I don't care if it's a 5-minute segment. Or just give him a microphone, put him in the crowd. Dude, he needs to be on TV every week. He needs to run through guys every 5 minutes. Just to have a 5-minute squash match against the little guy that comes off. Yeah, or Janela or Orange Cassidy or somebody. Just run through a guy, every couple weeks. But he needs to be on TV every week. The great matches will find him. His next feud will materialize. But yeah, he just needs a regular spot. But
what
great question.
Daniel?
No, he needs to be the top of the company. He doesn't need the belt, but he should be the top of that company as far as a heel. I have to agree with everything Craig said, and I've said it before. He said it. I said it after Craig said it. He is the best heel in wrestling, and he is certainly the best heel in that company. That's true. He's really the only heel in that company, really.
Jericho.
No, but Jericho this guy gets booed. MJF gets booed. Jericho will still get the cheers and the people singing along to his lyrics. There's nothing wrong with Jericho with what Jericho was doing. I want to preface that. MJF doesn't give an F, and I mean that in a good way, where he's just bad all the time. Nobody's really cheering him because he's such a prick.
Like flipping off the kid and that actually making TMZ as if that's like a big deal these days. It's like, no, he's just being a heel.
I saw that trending today for a little while. I was like, oh, that's gorgeous. People just like, how dare the comments. I was like, oh, thank you so much. That's without Twitter, obviously, technology, social media, and the internet. That's how it was in the old days. You were mad. A heel would threaten to smack an old lady or push his son on his ass in his seat and get people wanting to shoot him in the arena.
Yes.
MJF is old school, and I know there's people. I can't say anything. Never mind. The kayfabe or don't like, or non-kayfabe don't like him. He's a jerk. I'm like, well, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Good, good. Glad you
Now,
don't like. Now,
there is-
most of those people don't get the whole story, and they only hear one story. Never, I can't say the rest of that. But go ahead.
There is one other sort of big question mark sitting over us that I wanted to kind of go into. I think at this point, whether or not it'll be addressed on AEW, I'm not sure if either of you have been sort of following what's going on tonight. But where Matt Hardy's going to end up after his contract has expired with WWE. Now,
were you serious about the Impact thing?
Thanks for just taking my next point away. Where
I
actually want to.
Oh, I didn't take something from Harry finally. What a damn shame.
Use your indoor voice, you neck-bearded Mark. And let the adults speak.
Go ahead, kid.
Let the adults speak.
All right, go.
Between myself
Hit the
and the
mute button.
host of this show,
Disconnect him from the
Craig
call.
Legans of the Craig Legan Show.
Hang up. All I need to do is just kill it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let the adults speak.
Go ahead.
I personally wanted to see Matt Hardy go back to Impact, as Dan just said. I still do, every now and again I'll check in on Impact. I've said tons of times before, I don't really watch wrestling anymore. I watch stuff on YouTube every now and again.
Sure.
A couple of nights here and there, I'll sit there, I'll watch stuff that I've seen through Twitter or something like that, or if specific friends send me stuff, I'll watch it. But I will try and watch Impact because they have stuff that I like. Obviously, I said how Rosemary is kind of my favorite. Not only do I like the character, but just the cinematic stuff that they surround her with, where it's storytelling as well as it may not necessarily be as many matches, but it's the storytelling. I like it, so that's what really draws me to Impact. There's certain people there that are of questionable character, as Dan said before in the past, as many of us will agree, who I couldn't really care less about. But then there's certain things that they do right when it comes to the storytelling that I like. So given that that's where the Broken Universe started, there's so many people there as well that I would like to see interact with the Broken Universe, do the Broken stuff again. See a Rosemary who has character-wise gone so far now since Decay with the Broken stuff. Su Yung, James Mitchell's obviously been back and forth there. There's quite a few people in there that, even if it wasn't the Broken stuff, just the way they tell stories is interesting to me. I'm someone who sits here most of my nights catching up on the Arrowverse and Flash and Supergirl and all that sort of stuff. So given that I was able to watch 10 years worth of shows in about 3 months, that shows you what kind of stuff that I like watching. And, I could care less about a match. It's a story for me. So, yeah, that's really why I want Matt Hardy to go there. I mean, someone remind me, he's up there, he's in his 40s, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a guy at that age, surely he's going to be want to slow it down, less matches. So doing a more storytelling kind of thing, like the Broken Universe in a place like Impact, you'd think that would be a creative standpoint, that would be a bit more appealing for someone up there. But hey, more money, whatever appeals to him, is obviously on him. But I personally would like to see him go to Impact, and I'm not sure about either of you where you'd want to see him go. But yes, Dan, I was serious about that.
Honestly, Harry, as much as I would like to see him go full circle, back to Impact, I believe that, this is just what I'd like to see happen to Matt Hardy. I think he would be a great asset to NXT as a manager or a producer, or sitting in the gorilla position. I think he would be a much better benefit or asset to the company, to any company, but to the WWE in particular. I really don't. Obviously, with professional wrestlers, there is no age limit. I personally don't want to see him in the ring anymore. I think he's done everything that there is to do. Um, his last run with the WWE obviously could have gone better, and if he hadn't got hurt, if Jeff had stayed clean, they could have done some more stuff together. Their return at WrestleMania 3 years ago, still one of probably the last time I ever yelled that much at a returning wrestler in decades. But I would like to see him remain with WWE in NXT in some capacity.
And you, Marshmallow Man?
I don't ever want to see anybody go to Impact. That is the end of my discussion. No, whatever makes him happy. I know it's not about the money, but it's interesting. We were talking about the Genesis reunion announcement, and a lot of the things I said were it's just a cash grab. Like who goes into business not wanting to make as much money as possible? Of course you do.
WCW.
Well, except for WCW, who only made a profit like what, 2 years out of the 20?
Yeah.
That must have hurt you to say that.
No, I don't care. That one does. I don't. That money that didn't affect me. This movie is just getting released as a cash grab. Well, yes, they would like to make some money on the movie they just spent months making. You jackass. And I'm sure Matt Hardy is getting to the age where I would like to save some money. AEW will probably be, if it's a money thing, the place that's going to pay him the most. Creatively, I think he has more. Well, not more. He has total say creatively as far as going back to Impact. So if it's a creative thing, he'll go to Impact and just have fun. And he'll get people talking about Impact again. Because when he was there, whether it was good or bad, and they were doing the compound stuff and the fights outside and the little mini movies that were wrestling matches with all the other alter egos of Jeff Hardy showing up, which they would lose that, people were talking about it again. They certainly weren't talking about. Never mind. That's just not necessary. So if he goes to Impact, I'll watch it again because I do watch Impact on YouTube to get Jordan Grace and a couple other wrestlers there that I like, so I don't have to watch. But
No, they haven't been there in a while.
He hasn't.
No, he hasn't been on TV since he lost the title.
Oh, I'm gonna watch this week. Sweet.
Well, one little thing just to backtrack, because when you said the word movies, it kind of sparked my interest. I really this is what I like, cinematic storytelling. I really want, I don't care if it's one promotion or anywhere, I want places to do more cinematic storytelling.
Yes.
To the point where I actually want someone original, someone currently running, to present a wrestling show as a movie. So, even if it was Impact where they presented a whole show as a movie, it's something that you don't really see out there now. That, if you did release a movie and make an entire show the movie, it's something different. It's something I want to see. I also want to point out how I said this to you, Dan, and I tweeted it out as well. I really want to see someone do the supersonic punch from The Flash as an actual move. Not as a parody, as a serious move. So
Superman doesn't count. So you got to get somebody who runs all the way from the entrance ramp to the ring. And
no, I was thinking more along the lines of, how Braun Strowman runs around the ring and then doesn't do a drop kick or he barges them or whatever. I was thinking something like that, but then they obviously do a punch. But now I'm thinking AEW's got that WCW ramp, haven't they? Kind of do that where they run from that and then dive over the rope, kind of doing the punch.
Oh, okay, and do the punch, and then they sell it seriously, not as a flip-flappy joke.
No, yeah, sell it seriously, but do it like when The Rock used to take the stunner and he does the flip over and land serious, yeah.
Which was the best sell of that move ever. And then you got to stitch tag Cornette on it, so he flips out about it for a week and a half. Go ahead, Craig.
I was gonna say Stone Cold said Rock and Shane McMahon took the stunner better than anyone ever.
That little flop he would do where he'd actually start the weight on his shoulder, but then use his head to finish the flop. How he didn't break his neck, well, his neck is twice the size of any man's neck, is still beyond how he ever
Who, Shane's?
No, not Shane's, The Rock's.
Shane's neck is huge. Have you never seen his neck like on the most recent?
Because he eats
time
like
when he was
me.
around? But Dan, like his neck is from the back. Is no.
Oh no,
from
he's
the front.
yeah, no. Shane's got a freaking tree trunk as a neck. It's amazing. Yeah, that's a very interesting concept, actually, Harry. I might have to put you in contact with somebody. The wrestling show, the punch. I don't think you'd have to talk to Janela. I'm sure he could work that out with somebody in AEW. That might be an AEW thing.
I want. I don't know. Like
Janela would have.
I want the right person. I want the right person to do it, and
Oh no, I don't mean Janela doing it. I mean talking to Janela to talk somebody into doing it.
Oh yeah. But no, that would be incredible.
With that being said, it's been a fun episode, and maybe.
I have one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks ago, Dan, I was right here on the Craig Lagan show. I was right here on the Craig Lagan show, and we were having a good time. We were having fun. Myself and Craig Lagan's of the Craig Lagan show, and you just search your WCW videos and play with your.
You don't have to search them; they're right there.
Play with your Ghostbusters.
They're all there. They're all right there.
Ghostbusters toys,
There's no Ghostbusters toys in that. Oh, there is. Yeah, never mind.
But anyway, we were having a good time, and you said, "Oh yeah, you come back in about 2 weeks, and you can carry on trashing people." So I just wanted to, for video purposes, show that we're on day 7, which is now day 8 by my counter, because I am on the 8th day. Of the 14 days that my dear friend Jimmy Lyon gave me, the great Harry Barnett, for these shoes, these 3D printed shoes, to hold together. He gave me 14 days, of which, if I get to the 14 days, he will apologize. He will publicly apologize. And I have also upped this to where I said, if those 14 days go, and I'm going to quote what the exact thing I'm going to do, if these 14 days pass and the shoes hold, which is kind of wrong for me to say because I hope they do, I know they will, but if those 14 days hold, I'm going to sign these shoes and I'm going to give them to him. And it's going to be something along the lines of Dear, BASTAR, yeah, you know that last letter. Just for editing.
You say bastard.
Oh, okay. Is it just the F word I can't say?
You can't say the hard F or the hard S, really.
Or the hard C.
No, you can say cunt. I don't care.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so dear bastard, you could do with these. You need these more than I do, because he wrestles barefoot like a moron. Signed, your hero and mine, the great Harry Barnett. And so we're 7 days in. I'm now on the 8th day. It's about a week left. And to my dear friend Jimmy Chondo Lyon, you redneck mother effer, I'm going to stamp on your feet. Those days, we're 4 weeks away from me coming over there. Going to stamp on your feet. I'm going to stamp on your feet just before your little good housekeeping match, in which I'm sure Kareen Menk is going to then
kill him. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to stamp on your feet. And then once you lost that match, once you're crying your little redneck eyes out, once you're thinking about going home to your trailer with your 600,677 and 0.9 cats, you got from a certain man who we will not name. Sorry, my coronavirus is Teddy Harting up.
Jesus Christ.
Once you go home to all of those cats that you were supplied by a man that we can't mention, then I will hand these shoes over to you. What's the matter, Dan? Are you having a teddy attack?
No,
A heart attack?
if it was a teddy attack, wouldn't I just be like acting confused and high and drugged out and
lying? But anyway, yeah, we won't go there. But Chondo, once you've lost, I'm going to hand these over once they've been signed, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can wear them. You can give them to your cats. You can give them to your cat dealer. Or you can just put them on the shelf with the rest of your pops and catnip and everything else that you got in your house on wheels. And you can thank God that there is someone in this world like me who would give you the clothes off of my own back, or rather off of my feet. And as far as I'm concerned, that's all I've got to say about that. Dan, I want to thank Craig. I want to thank Craig for inviting me here to the Craig Lagan show. The pleasure has been all of yours, Dan's, because there's clearly multiple Dans rather than one Dan. I can't speak English. Yeah, because I said Dan's. I want to thank.
No, you don't have to correct yourself when you pluralize stuff on this show. Everybody from Philly puts a plural on everything. It doesn't make any sense.
Carry on, Craig.
Ask my underwears.
Underwears. I got to go to the Acme's. I got to go shop at Aldi's to get some shrimps.
But when I was at the Berlin, is it the Berlin Farmers Market, Flea Market, wherever it is in Berlin, New Jersey, where the Tremonts used to have their store. I remember hearing voices, and no, they weren't in my head, Dan. I heard voices, and each one of them sounded like Mark Angel, but not a single one of them was Mark Angel.
Yo, Harry! Yo, Harry!
No, it was literally the yo. And your background, much like me, is out of this world. Yeah, Dan, I want to just all these bright colors. They're too much. They're too much. But I want to thank obviously Craig Lagan's of the Craig Lagan Show, his co-host Amber. I want to thank Stan Styles for sitting here quietly throughout the entire show with the with the cream and the shake weight. But no, I want to thank the sponsors of this show, TGHB 3D, for obviously without them, I wouldn't have been able to do this show because, well, I am them.
You am them?
I am them. And do I have anyone else to thank? Dean.
God.
I'll thank Dean because he's just carrying on kicking out there, carrying on living, kicking. He's like 90. It was his 91st birthday the other day.
Yep.
Hey, good to see Omega in the background there. I'll thank Omega just for his mere presence here on this episode. I want to thank Pikachu, who is sat on this here shelf right there. Who else have I got to thank? I don't know. I don't see anyone else to thank. I think I've thanked enough people right here, right now, on the Craig Lagan show. And I'll thank Roscoe, just for being here. You don't need to poke him in the nose there, Dan. I hear dogs don't like that. You don't see anyone poking you in the nose. I mean, I'm going to do that. In April.
Oh, my God, Harry!
Wait. Let me finish my point. This is the last thing.
Jesus Christ.
But in April, I will make sure that no one pokes you in the nose just because I'm that good of a friend.
I won't be there.
Well, I'll make sure that no one pokes you in the nose wherever you are in West Virginia.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
I
don't want to get coronavirus.
You don't want to get the coronavirus? Well, even if you do, and even if you don't, I'll still call in a quarantine to your trailer parked at the...
No, I'm very virile, and I have a good immune system. I'll be fine. I'll be one of the not 3%. I'm good.
I find that very hard to believe.
I'm just fat. I'm not dying. Jesus Christ.
I'll have your ecto cooler spiked with Ebola or...
They don't make it anymore. Thanks for bringing up something else I can't have. Hey, Craig, where can people follow you? I want to end the show.
Wait, they can follow me at The Great HB on all good social media platforms. Sorry, Craig, I hate to interrupt you on your own show, but Dan was just mean and cut me off, so I felt like I'd pass on the kindness.
I agree. Thank you, Harry. And I was going to, when it was my turn, I was going to pass it over to you. But thank you for sharing it with us where we can find you on social media. You can follow me, if you so choose, on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at Craig Ligons, CraigLiggeons.
Can I go now?
No, you can't. No. This being the Craig Lagan show, when Craig says you can go, you can go. But Craig
Can I
hasn't said
go
you
now?
can go.
Check with Amber. Yeah, she's good. Dan, where can the people follow you?
Follow me at Daniel83 and go to the VOC Nation Radio Network and all social media platforms at HIAC Talk Radio. For Craig Ligons and Harry Barnett, I'm cutting it off quickly.
Great, Harry Barnett.